Hi everyone, and welcome to another Posters Here video. In this video I just want to show you loads of chips that I bought for cheap really. So I've got 10 of these chips, JM61RP, oh no there you go, LM2596T. It looks like some sort of voltage regulator or buck boost converter or something like that. But we'll see in a second. Now, what else have I got in here? Some more little chips. LM293. What is that? LM293? I don't actually know what LM293 is either, but we'll find out in a minute. And what's in here? I've obviously used two of these, unless they've been lost or something. AD620A, right, I know what that is. AD620A is it's an amplifier. If I remember rightly, it's an instrumentation amplifier. But yeah, I think this is one of those chips where you can put a resistor over it and set the gain that way. Again, I'll talk through what this is in a minute and where I got them from. Okay, the next thing is these. Got quite a number of them. I think I've got 10 of those, something like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, I've got 10 of them. Let's see what it is. L7805CV. What is that? These actually look like they're cheaply made. Looks like they're copies of something. You see the plastic around the pins. Anyway, let's find out what they are too. Okay, so what have we got to start with? We've got 10 pieces of LM2596T ADJ, and this is from a seller called H-quality_electronic. So I paid £1.56 for 10, and that's really cheap. Free postage from Shenzhen, China. That's so cheap. Anyway, so one of the first things I notice is that it's got an ADJ pin, which means that whatever it is, it's adjustable. Anyway, so it's a voltage regulator with a 3 amp ability, so you can pass 3 amps through this thing. That's probably continuous, and yeah, adjustable. So it's an adjustable voltage regulator. And for those who aren't 100% on this, a voltage regulator basically keeps voltage at a certain value, and it sort of stops it from dipping or rising too high. And they can be useful for a number of things really, particularly when it comes to microcontrollers, because you don't want the voltage to be too high or too low, you need it to be stable. Anyway, what does it say about it? Oh, it doesn't say anything about it. I've decided to have a quick look at the datasheet, as it can explain it better than I can. So let's have a look, see what it says. So it's a simple switcher. So it's a switching regulator. So 3 amp step down voltage regulator. So it's a buck converter. Well, it looks like it could be a buck converter. But it'll be quite a precise one because it's actually a voltage regulator. So it's a buck converter basically. So features adjustable output versions, which is the one I've got. What else does it say here? So output range, it steps down to 1.2 volts to 37 volts. What else does it say? 3 amp load. Right, so the input, so you can input to this module up to 40 volts and you can step it down to anything between that range. So let's say for example with my solar panel system, I've got 24 volt batteries, and at some points when it's equalizing or whatever, it could be 28 volts. So let's say I wanted to power a 12 volt device that was less than 3 amps, then I could use this. So I could supply it with 28 volts and use the adjustable reference to adjust it down to 12 volts, and it would be regulated 12 volts. It requires only 4 external components, and I think you can see them there. So you've got a capacitor, a diode, a inductor, and another capacitor. I might have to build this circuit at some point to show you. Anyway, what else does it say here? 150,000 hertz fixed frequency internal oscillator. Okay. If I remember rightly, that's how fast it switches. So 150,000 switches per second, I think, anyway. What else does it say here? Provide all the active functions for a step-down, regulator. Capable of driving a 3 amp load. Okay, let's see what else it says here, if there's anything interesting. There's a description of the pin out there. So pin 1 is V in, which is, well, of course, whatever the voltage to be regulated is. The output, which is after being regulated. In other words, pin 1 is the higher value, pin 2 is the lower value, pin 3 is ground, pin 4 is feedback, and 5 is on or off. Oh, that's interesting. So feedback, I think you will connect to pin 2. I'm not 100% sure, but I think you'd connect those two together in some way, and that's how it regulates. That's how it knows what the output voltage is. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. Okay, so the next item is 5 pieces voltage comparator, low power, etc. This is from a seller called Voodoo, and I've bought loads and loads of things from this seller. I got 5 for 99p, so it's 20p each, so that's very cheap. And let's see what else it says down here. Again, it doesn't really say anything. That's okay. So it's a voltage comparator. I could look at the datasheet, but it'll probably be sufficient to just look at Wikipedia. So, comparator. In electronics, a comparator is a device that compares 2 voltages or currents and outputs a digital signal indicating which is larger. Right, that's interesting. It has 2 analog input terminals and 1 binary output. Ah, that is quite interesting. So you fix one voltage to one pin, another voltage to the other, and basically you get an output which would, well, a digital output, so it's either going to be high or low. So I take it will be high for this one if that one's the highest, or low if that one is the highest, I assume, or something like that. Okay, so that's what that is, briefly anyway. And it says 36 volts maximum, I'd assume. Okay, I'll have to play about with that in one of my next videos. Let's move on. The next one is the AD620A, and I got 5 of these for £3.20 from that same seller, Voodoo. So £3.20, that's quite cheap. Let's see if it says anything about it. No, it doesn't. But that's okay, I've got the data sheet up here. So yeah, this is an instrumentation amplifier, and these are supposed to be more precise than ordinary amplifiers. I've used these before in 1 or 2 different applications, and I found them to be quite good. So you set the gain with 1 external resistor, and I think you put that between pin 1 and pin 8, I think. So depending on the value of the resistor, the gain will be set accordingly. So that's quite cool, really. So what you do here, basically, to amplify something, you put 1 pin on here for whatever you're trying to amplify, and the other pin on here for the other terminal of the thing you're trying to amplify. Then you power it with pin 7 and ground VS, which is pin 4. Then you put your resistor across here, RG, so pin 1 and 8, and then the output is pin 6. So if you have, let's say, 1 millivolt here, and you have a gain of 10, you get an output of 10 millivolts here, if everything was going to plan anyway. This reference pin, that's basically, it's like a reference point, basically, from which the output needs to be referenced against or go off. I actually use one of these to amplify the difference in a shunt resistor, and it works okay, but the problem is right at the low end, where you're talking like a millivolt or a very low voltage, it doesn't seem to cope very well. But then when you get higher voltages, like 6, 7 or 8 millivolts or something like that, you get a much better output. But anyway, it's still a good amplifier. So let's move on. Okay, and the final item is this. 10 pieces of LM7805 voltage regulator plus 5 volts. And this is from a seller 8_47147, and I paid 81p for 10 with no postage. That is just stupid. That's 8.1p each. So 8p each from Hong Kong. How the hell can they even send it for that? In the UK, I don't know what the cost of a first class stamp is now, but that's just stupid. I mean, I think it's probably about 60p or something like that. In fact, I'm going to find out. Okay, so I'm looking at Royal Mail's website, which is the UK's primary delivery service, basically. And the price for a first class stamp is 65p. So 65p is like usually within a day or two to post anywhere in the UK for a letter. So 65p, if I just get rid of that again, 65p, and I've got this from China for 81p, so that's just ridiculous. So how have they got it from China to the UK for that and made any money on it? I have absolutely no idea. But anyway, 81p, and what is this? So it said it's a voltage regulator. What does it say here? Output voltage 5 volts, so it's fixed. Output current 1.5 amps. Line regulation. So this is how straight it keeps the voltage when it outputs. Load regulation, I'm not exactly sure what that is. Dropout voltage 2.5 volts at 1 amp. Maximum operating temperature 150. So they're just voltage regulators. I'll have a look at the specification sheet anyway. So, positive voltage regulator, and what does it say? Fixed output voltages, yeah. So it's nothing special really, it's just like I tend to use the AMS 1117s, I find them to be the best ones. But anyway, this is looks like a more powerful, you can pass more amperage through it, or more current through it. So, yeah, I think we'll leave it at that. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video, and thank you for watching. Bye!